Hello, good people. Welcome to Group 5 Social Problem Presentation. Here we will presenting our social inclusion project, and along this presentation you will meet us, Kashin, Reggy, Cahya, Jhon, Brian, and Michael. Next, please. Here is our table of contents to easier direct you in this presentation. First is introduction. It's about the topic, background, and then the question of this project. And the second is theory or concept. What kind of theory or concept that we use to support this project? And the third is findings or the result. And the fourth is the conclusion. What kind of review or recommendation or any statement that we have after this project? Next, please. Here is our topic. Our topic is education and technology basis, about the effectiveness of online teaching and learning activities, especially at university. Next, please. And here is our background. Since the technology is really matter in this condition, this subtopic is totally relevant in today's condition. Research about the effectiveness using technology for online learning at university is quite strong because this topic is relevant for today's situation and the information will be useful to overcome the current condition relate because our subject is students, especially university students, the lecturer or others staff that work in a students development center. This research is conducted by run some interview with two students and one lecturer. Next, please. Here is the main questions that we use to conduct the interview. We over some question, but the main uh, things is about this three question. First is how the pandemic impact education and how technology influence education. Is it helping or obstructing? And the second, what other factors influence the effectiveness of online teaching and learning? Third is how can the university accommodate the online teaching and learning process? And next, the other content will present by my friend.
Theory and concept. For the theory, this use interactional theory because the main focus will be the why of a certain topic. This will also provide qualitative data, not quantitative. Hence, it will be more valid but less reliable. And this qualitative research will be done by interviewee answering interviewers' questions. Set of questions will be prepared beforehand, but modifications will be made for the interviewer's need.
Semi-structured interview will involve three people with educational background and familiar with the usage of technology. The first interviewees is an educator and two others are students from different schools. First of all, let's hear some of the interviewees' response on the next footage.
I think so far so good. I like teaching online. At first, probably it was very challenging because I was not used to this kind of environment, but along the way, I've been getting used to this.
So I think it's just online environments is more time efficient, but in my opinion, although online lectures is more effective this way, I feel like group studies are not.
If I say to you, and if I'm being honest, it's not actually that good to use the platform if we want to connect the student and the teacher, because sometimes the site is very complicated to access, but they're still developing the site, so I think it's understandable.
I think psychologically it's very different.
So whenever we want to have a group study with friends, or maybe for an assignment, for example, it becomes less effective, and because we're not directly talking, especially with the delay, and then someone has internet problems, and just stuff like that makes the experience less than desirable.
Offline helps us lecturers bring sort of the humanity and warmth into the classroom that online classes do not have.
In this occasion, I would like to explain from educator's perspective. So the questions will be about teaching during online learning, as we are trying to see the relation between education and technology, especially during online learning due to pandemic. So from the educator's perspective, the appearance of technology can be helping and obstructing at the same time. The good side of technology is that this invention help us gather all students all around Indonesia, as we are all learning in one classroom. However, the fact that there are several students living in countryside which might have lack facilities of technology makes those students having a hard time to learn using technology during online learning. Also, the educator said that the quality of online learning is concerning. It is because while teaching, the educators cannot make sure whether the students really understand of the material being taught during the class, or sometimes he got carried away with the class and forget to give break to the students. Meanwhile, break is very important during online learning because it helps the student who might be tired of looking at the screen for all day long, or it helps the student who have lost their concentration. However, despite of all the problems that appear during online learning, the educators believe that all schools have been giving their best effort to cater the students' need during the online learning. In conclusion, we can see that technology and education is related to each other, especially during pandemic. And the most impressive thing is that technology grew rapidly due to pandemic because all people is trying to adapt with the condition where technology is the only thing that can connect us. That's all from me. We are going to see the next finding from students' perspective. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about student one's perspective regarding his experience on online classes. As a background, student one is an active student during the pandemic and can easily access the internet without any difficulties. The question given out to student one surrounds the topic of online learning, screen time, relationship with lecturers, and the essential platforms used during the online classes. Student 1 here uses applications such as Microsoft Teams or Zoom for the online classes, as well as Canvas for his assignments. He finds that these platforms are sufficient enough in helping him submit tasks and also help him communicate with his lecturers easier. During the pandemic, he subconsciously limited himself from technology and screen time, but his routines didn't really change since even before the pandemic, he have been using technology a lot. Student 1 doesn't really mind online school because he finds it time efficient, but the issue he is facing is with group studies. He finds that the network issues and delays makes the experience less than desirable. He said that he perceives information better online, and since it's time efficient, he has more time for himself. When questioned whether school and universities can be fully online, He answered that it is not possible. Although he finds receiving information better when it is online, there are some activities such as clubs and group studies that cannot be experienced online. In conclusion, Student 1 enjoys online learning better. He does not have any major problems in regards to learning online and offline, and also thinks that the time efficiency is established better in online classes. There's perspective coming from student 1. The next part will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Interview with student perspective put forward by students to describe the situation he experienced as a student with a number of problems he experienced in the form of first, the provision of teaching and learning access platforms by the university, not much different from the situation experienced by almost all students. Along with time, students began to be proficient in using a number of access to learning support. There are Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and the platforms created by the campus, which is used depending on their needs. Likewise, with access to learning searches. In addition to getting reference sources from lectures during the class or during assignments, students also often use trusted external sources such as Google Scholar, Academy.edu, ResearchGate, and many more. It, it is just that, according to the student too, all of these sources are deemed inadequate compared to those available in campus libraries. Another problem regarding distance learning, student 2 feels the gap related to the delivery of a number of communication between the lecturers to the students and also between students to students. It felt that communication interaction is not optimal and has an impact on academic performance. This is especially felt in the communication skills, such as sometimes there is a doubt or hard to express in conveying information and about being alone during on learning. Student 2 found it is stressful at the beginning, but over time he was able to overcome it. Moreover, he is not someone who needs a lot of interaction and a conducive place. Well, he can learn everywhere. The problem is only when people around who do not understand about university's life and he got stuck there. Second, about the impact of online activities in almost all aspects to time management. Student, student 2 feels, of course, screen time has increased considerably, considerably, significantly in both learning activities and social interactions with social media. So in conclusion, he believes that the one who to the one to blame if everything gets out of control is the individual itself. All access to the internet, to the internet, the website is already there and forever will be there. So it takes the individual's full awareness in managing screen time. The same thing about what need to do during online classes. Whether it can be an advantage or a disadvantage was how student to felt that the only person he should ask about his progress or performance was himself, and it is forcing him to develop a disciplined personality. And third, student too felt that there was an issue about benefits of paying tuition fees, which is the provide the providing of learning or campus access, which he felt that he was not worth it. It is due to the distant learning, and he felt disadvantaged with that. And the last problem is about technical issues. He feels that even though the government has accommodated students with free quotas, he still feels it is lacking or limited to due to limited access to sources or websites such as YouTube for study tutorials or assignments in the form of posts in social media that are not covered by the quotas, quotas access, as well as the personal devices performance problem, which sometimes become a problem because it often interferes interferes while studying, like it's suddenly lagging or it's suddenly closed by itself. And the last problem with the technical issue is about the gap in accessing to the stability of the internet connection, where for those who live in areas with minimal network connection, such as in the countryside, of course, this is the biggest problem because what else can be done if the internet connection as the bridge, the link to the online classes is disrupted, and this will be a problem for the students themselves. And in the end, just like what many other students hoping to, that student Two also hopes that the campus can be opened soon, even though it has to combine a hybrid system, a combination of online and offline classes. And that's all. Thank you.
The qualitative data we have acquired answered all the questions we had in mind. Going back to our questions, we examined the pandemic's impact to teachers and students' learning, the effectiveness of online learning, and universities' accommodation. We noticed that higher education requires a strong communication between students and teachers. This has been established offline, but after extensive interview with a teacher who understands online teaching well, a university student that has direct access to online learning, and another student that has limited and restricted access to online learning, we found out that technology has successfully provided a media for distant learning. Although the respondents may argue that a pure online learning may not be the best form of studying, but they suggested that a mix between online and offline may be the best option. Hence, we conclude that a pure online learning or teaching course may not be the best solution because limited access may breed to miscommunication between student and teacher, hence lower their motivation to study. But when it comes to effectiveness of technology for online students, it delivers. It's just a matter of student access to the internet. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening and watching. We hope you enjoyed because we had a blast researching this. We expect this to widen your insight on what's happening in the pandemic, and we hope this taught you a thing or two. This will be the end of our video. Thank you very much for watching. Stay healthy and safe.